Hey, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to install a booster pump, and that is used if you have low water pressure. I'm sure a lot of us out there are plagued with that. This is a rental property of mine, and I always knew it had lower pressure, but I didn't realize how low. Now every state and jurisdiction, I'm sure it has like their own set minimum. Around here you have to have at least 25 pounds. And when I first measured this, which I'll show you how to do this shortly, it said 29. Then I called the water company and they came out and said like 32 or 33. And there are springs, you can see right behind me. You have the main water supply come in, and then the meter, then it goes to the blue PEX throughout the house. And the other one's a gas line, the red one. So what happens is, if you're close to that minimum, they can just take springs out of the meter itself, and that's gonna increase it by about 4 pounds, he said. But mine was too high. So it's still like really low pressure, but it's not enough for them to do anything. So this is one of the products you use. This is from Watts. I'll put a link. You can get these on Amazon. And then you basically put it, the best way to do this is pick the farthest place away from this meter. The longer the travel, the lower the pressure is going to be. So I went outside and I have a hose out there, so I put it on there. And it's still read the same even in here. As you can see, I have one right up here. All you do, you put this on. It has a rubber washer in here, so it's going to seat tight. Turn it on and it's going to show you the pressure. And then you can see where you're at. Maybe you don't have as low as you think. So a couple things to look at is how big is the line coming in. They should be at least be at 3/4 inch. Now some of these really old houses have 1/2 inch, which is probably going to be pretty low pressure, but some are okay. But in this case here, I have 3/4 inch line. I was just unfortunate. I was at the end of the line. It's uphill. My meter's about, or the meter box, which is on the street, is about 84 feet away, I think it is. So there's a lot going against me right now. So first thing you want to do is see what your actual pressure is. And that's also going to determine what kind of booster pump you want. Because some of these out there have they usually double the pressure. So if you're at like 45 or 50, you can still use it depending on which pump. But if you are like at 55 and you're trying to get like, say 80, they don't recommend it because it's too high of a pressure. Now, let's say you are at like 55 and the pump you want to get, the highest you can do is 50. You can do a pressure reducer before it even gets to the inlet. I'll show you where that is on the pump shortly. But you can do a pressure reducer, that way you'll meet the requirements of the pump. So it'll reduce pressure, but it'll also boost it coming out about, in my case, this pump's going to double it, but some will boost to like 30 pounds. It might go from 50 to 80. And, again, look at which pump you're going to check out. I'll show you this one here. So I got this one, it's 3/4 horsepower. Adds up to 5 times more pressure. Now this one here is going to auto adjust. I'll show you everything once I hook it up here. It tells you everything I need, but I'm kind of doing this a little bit different. Now they did say to have 1-inch piping coming in, but honestly, I have 3/4 inch. I'm only going to run this like 4 feet to the pump, so I'm just going to stick with 3/4 inch piping and do it that way. And then one other person told me to do this. So when you go to install this pump, say you want to get the flex tubing. So right here, this is going to be kind of like it's a braided line for like water heaters. So what this does, the pump is going to vibrate. So if you have a solid connection, it's going to travel throughout your house and vibrate your pipe so it can make noise. Whereas here with this braided line, if it vibrates, this is going to take that vibration out. It won't travel through your house and make a lot of noise. So let's go and start with the pressure. I'll show you how to do that real quick. Let me turn this around here. So all I'm going to do is take this valve, the gauge here, and you can see the black one is down on 0. All you got to do is just thread this on. and then just make sure that's real tight. That gasket's gonna seat that. Just turn on. And you can see we're actually right at 30 now. So just take that off, just shut that back off. Now you're gonna have a little bit of water when you take this off. Might want to put a towel or a little bit bucket down. You just had a couple drips there, nothing major. But you can see here, this is where the water comes in, go to the meter, and then up through to the house. I'm actually going to install this over here. You want to be close to a plug because it's 120 volt. So that way you can just plug that into an outlet. And I'm actually going to put some plywood down here just so I can make a sturdy base. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so let me show you this pump. So you just need, like I said, 120 volt outlet. There's a plug in the back over here that just plugs in. So this is the inlet. This is where water comes in. This is a 1-inch male piece. I'm going to connect this to PEX. I only use Teflon tape on these. Do not use like pipe dope because the internals will get messed up. And then you have a female connection on top. So again, I'm going to use this braided line. I'm going to put PEX out of this, put a bend in there, that way it's not too much pressure on that. That'll go to the house. Now when you're looking at this, so my setup here is the water is going to come in here. I'm going to have a bypass that will go straight up. I have PEX here, PEX there. This will allow water to go straight through the system. When I'm using the pump, I'll shut this off, and that'll make it come through the system into the inlet, out the outlet, and then it'll come back over here. This will be on, and then go to the main section of the house. The reason you want to do it this way, if you have pump failure or something, you can just simply turn this on. You're back to low pressure, of course, but now you can shut both this one and this one off and remove your pump and maintain it or fix it or whatever you have to do. Now, one thing, you have to use a check valve, it's called, and it'll have a direction on here. Hard to see, but you see that arrow? That is what direction the water flows. This will prevent it from having back pressure into the line, so water can only flow this way. You have to install one of these when you're doing this pump, per the directions. So that's basically kind of the setup. I'm actually going to bolt it into plywood, which I'm going to make here. But like I said, the connections here are pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go ahead and connect this up and show you what I did, but I wanted to explain why I'm doing some of this stuff. But like I said, this flexible line is to take the vibration out. That way it'll basically acts like a shock in a car. It's going to take that vibration out, so all your pipes in the house aren't going to vibrate. I'm not sure how much they truly would vibrate, but might as well just play it safe and do it right. So this is a 3/4 horsepower, and this will self-adjust to the pressure. They actually have in the manual, like if I'm at 30 pounds, it might boost it to 65. If I'm at 35, it'll go 70 and so on. But here it'll show like power on, pump on, if there's a failure, and then a restart. The most important, this one here actually self-primes, but if some of the other ones, you actually pour water into the top to prime the pump. The most important thing to remember when you're doing this, do not plug this in until you have water going through it. So what you want to do, once everything's hooked up here, go ahead and turn on your water, allow it to run through the system, and then open the faucets upstairs. It'll let out all the air. That's how you know you have, the water is completely through this pump. Then you can plug it in. If you try doing that before, you can seize it up or burn up the pump, and you definitely don't want that for how expensive these are. This one here is about $600, so definitely not something that's cheap. All right, so let me get back to, I'm gonna put this together, but you can kind of see just how I did my setup, and I'll show you once it's all together and just kind of walk you through it. We will see you soon. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to just kind of show you the process. All I did was take the pump and I mark where the holes are gonna need to be right there. And I just have some bolts here that are gonna come up through. So I went around, marked all those, just drilled through real quick. Now, since they're rounded on the top, I took a spade bit and all I did was just match it up to however wide it needs to be. Just drill down a little so it recesses. So now I'll put that other piece of plywood on top and then go ahead and put the nut, the washer and the nut on here. Do that. So my game plan, this is called DMX. It is basically so moisture doesn't come up through. If you just put plywood on any surface that's concrete, even if it's painted, you're still gonna get moisture that wicks up through. This prevents that so you don't get mold. So this makes it flush. Now I'm putting the other piece of plywood on here. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this in. That way if this does vibrate a little bit, it's not gonna move across the floor. It's gonna hold its position really well. Okay, so moving along, I'm starting to set up my PEX here. So this is the part where the water comes in. Then I'm gonna have my bypass that will basically go straight up. I'll have this shut off, that way it goes out to the pump itself. But I just wanted to show you this cool tool. This is from Ryobi. It's a PEX crimping tool. You can see I have the crimps on there already. I already did the bottom one. But all this does, it'll squeeze down on that crimp. Then on the back, that green light means it was good. If it lights up red, you have to take it off and redo it. It did make a good crimp. So let me do this real quick. So I'm gonna do, you can see like that part there. Put that into the opening. Okay. And you can see the green means we had a good crimp. So we're good to go there. I'm gonna finish up. I just wanted to show you that useful tool. I think these are like $120, something like that. More obviously if you need the battery. I'll put a link below in case you're interested in these. If you have to do plumbing, this is the way to go. It's inexpensive, it's quick. You don't have to mess with soldering, especially how expensive. It's like $30 for a little thing of solder now. So let me get back to this. Show you behind me. My pump mounted. I have to get different nuts on here. Seemed like I couldn't tighten them real good because I drilled too much of a hole in the bottom. So I just need a different type of nuts on there, then we should be good. All right, what a difference. I just got done plumbing everything in. I tried it out. Totally night and day for this house. I should have done this sooner. If you're on the fence about whether to spend the money on doing this, do it, trust me. Let me go ahead and turn this around and I'll show you my whole setup here and what I had to do and what to check. I did have a few leaks, but I corrected those, but I'll show you that real quick right now. Okay. Pardon my mess. I'm just finishing up and I wanted to get this video done. All right, so let's go back to putting the gauge on. I want to say we were at 30 pounds before. Again, you can buy these off Amazon. I'll put a link below. You're at 0 pounds. Watch this. We're now at like a good 69, 70 pounds maybe. So we won't ever double what we had before. That works amazing. Again, when you take this off, you will get water on the floor. So now that I have it set up, I figure you don't want me to record like putting everything together. I still have to put some brackets on the wall and clean this up a little bit. So, water line comes in, comes right up through here. I put a T right there That way it'll branch off for the inflow for the pump over here. And I have a shut off here on the inflow and on the outflow. That way, if something ever happens to this pump or I have to service it or whatever, I can shut both of these off and then I can open this one. This will be, even though I'll be back to low water pressure, the tenants would still have water. So basically it just comes up and this goes right up to the house. I have this closed right now because you don't want the low water pressure to bypass and go straight up. We want that low pressure to come through here, which I have this valve opened. And the reason for the flex tube, like I said before, this does vibrate a little bit, and this little bit acts like a shock. It'll take that vibration out of your house. So instead of having a solid piece where, you know, Impex will probably take the vibration out also, but if you had copper, it's probably going to travel through your house and maybe even bang off something. It's hard to say, but I just did this to play it safe. So again, got my 3/4 inch PEX, and I have a male fitting that goes into the flex pipe. Male fitting again to male fitting, and this is the check valve, like I said. The whole purpose of that is so you don't get your backflow. Water can only come through, it can't go backwards. And let's see, here it goes into the inlet on the pump. And then here's the outflow. You can see it's plugged into my wall over there. And I also bolted this in, like you can see here. I bolted it in, that way it's not gonna go anywhere. Again, this does vibrate slightly. That way it doesn't start to walk away on you. And I just screwed it into the plywood over there. That way this is completely solid here also. So again, coming up through here, this says 1 inch, this is a female and 1 inch male down there. And I put a bend support in here. We got the male 3/4 inch to the flex line again on the way out. To the male here. And then we have the shut off. And then now what's gonna happen on the outflow here, this is gonna go straight up to the house with full pressure. Because this one's closed, it's not gonna loop around or anything like that. So that's kind of the quick setup. And now I'm gonna, get clamps and tidy this up a little bit because it doesn't look too neat right now, but it didn't take too long to get done. So let me go over to the other room. I'll just show you, it went from nothing to just a big difference. Pardon my mess over here. I just had tenants moved out, so I was just trying to get everything ready. Oops. Forgot to get the air out of that one. But you can see how much flow is coming through there now. Again, that's 69 pounds. Before it was just like a trickle. It was awful. And that's both for the hot and cold. Full pressure. You can see the pump just turned on, so now we're getting that full pressure. Let me get to the pump so you can hear how loud this is. It sounds just like a little fan. And it's in the basement, so it's not like you're really gonna, it only comes on when you have, when you need the pressure to come through it, so. But you can hear how loud that is, it's barely anything. And now that it's shut off, as soon as it builds pressure again, then it'll shut off when, whenever you shut off the water. So that's not bad at all. Again, this is down in the basement, so you're not really going to hear this upstairs. So that's one nice feature. And oh yeah, let me show you a couple things. I just had like a leak here before. All I had to do was tighten it up. Before you do send it through the house, all I did was open this one up and I kept that one closed. That way all the pressure is in my new plumbing, and then I could just look through and see what was, like I had a leak here, and then I didn't tighten it up enough here. Actually, I have a real small leak now. So I'll tighten that just a little farther. Now that I put pressure through, that'll, show any little leak. So just a little leak there. But you want to be careful because this is plastic. You don't want to crack that. And when you go to tighten that, I just held the housing and tightened it from here. So I think that's going to kind of do it. Just show you how to, this is very simple to do. And one thing just to show you, whenever I want to cut this, because you're going to get all the water from your house coming down, open up, we'll shut off your valve first, shut that off, which that's open right now, shut that off, and find the lowest point in your house, open that up, and then go to the highest point in your house, and that'll drain all your lines out. And then I put a bucket underneath here when I cut it, and it just drains all the water down into the bucket. Now, when you go to refill, like turn the lines back on for the first time, don't just whip them, like whip it open. Just do it slowly so the pressure builds into your pipework. That way you won't chance cracking anything or causing a leak somewhere. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. I just trying to do a little bit of, anytime I do a project, try to make a video out of it so you can learn yourself. That was very simple to do. And I'm not sure how long that really took me, maybe 20, 30 minutes total. But it's pretty straightforward. Just think it through before you get into it. Find a nice spot that's not going to be in the way, like down there. It's out of the way. When you pull in the car, the door opens up closer to where I'm at, not back there. And also, just in case this would fail, I have it close to, there is a drain on the floor there, in case it would fail or something would crack or whatever. And really, I probably should have like a GFI outlet there just in case. I'll probably change that out later. But again, simple process. Go from having awful water pressure to full normal pressure. And like I said, that was, I want to say around $600 plus some supplies. So it might be around $650 till it's all said and done. Maybe a little bit more, but just want to give you an idea of what you're looking at. That one there is, it automatically boosts the pressure. Some of them you can kind of raise or lower manually. So, do your research and find the pump that works best for you. Again, I'll put some links below if you want to check it out on Amazon. I'll show, maybe I can find the pump on there. I bought that local, but I'll see if I can find the pump on there. And then also some of the different fittings and things that I used. That way, if you want to take this project on yourself, you can find everything you need very easily. So again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. I just hit 15,000 subscribers, so that's pretty cool for me. I'm glad to be able to help everybody out there, whether it's checking out tools or how to do something yourself. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon.